if it's an environment where the market is failing and we need a better solution, we just need to set up something where there's a network where power is at the edges, where those kind of solutions can come up and can be created, and they aren't coming from some big government central bureaucracy as well. And that, at some level, sounds like libertarianism, but libertarianism is often interchangeable now in this country with kind of free market libertarianism, where you just want to leave everything to the market and you don't want to have any government at all, which is not what I'm saying. So I agree. I think trying to figure out ways to remind people of the power of collaboration and the sharing of ideas and the trading of ideas, and to figure out a kind of political philosophy that really kind of expresses that in a useful way, I think is something that's my big focus right now.
Just one last point on that, and then I'm done. I'll go back to being a blank box. But if you think of probably particularly the last 100, maybe 150 years of scientific development, just staying with science, right? Within science, the explosion of scientific knowledge is entirely premised on the idea that you share your research results and you collaborate.
Yep.
And if anything, that has, the market, what we refer to the market, the money-making market, has selectively and creatively and successfully peeled off of that engine of ideas, and combined it with things that were not part of scientific study to produce marketable goods. But it's basically undeniable that if you simply say to people, here, look, work, passion, whatever, but share. If you don't share, you're a free rider, and there's also the social statement that comes along with that. But if you do share, innovation's going to come. It's not clear to me, it's entirely unclear to me what the causal factors here. We label something the market, which refers to effectively an economic engine, right? Something that exchanges items of value, whether it's money or some other capital. And then there is, that which is not part of the market, and there's tons of innovation. Even if we were to take it down to like small things about how people, improvise, home repair, as an example. They talk to friends and they come up with ideas and they are able to save themselves $2,000 instead of hiring the professional to do it right, so to speak. But nevertheless, it's done.
Well, I think that's a big.
Little innovation like that.
The point about the academic context is so important with science. I mean, it's a bit like behind every eureka moment there's a long hunch. Behind every amazing new gadget that's being sold and making somebody millions or billions of dollars, there's a long history of scientific academic research that was freely shared, that created all the technologies and the scientific principles and the physics that understand all the interactions of the objects inside that device, not to mention very conspicuous things like the internet or the web, where we can say this was created outside the traditional marketplace. So, totally right. And that's been a big part of what I've been trying to do. It's a bit like going to the intelligence community in DC and talking about openness, going into these corporate environments and talking about the value of non-proprietary, non-competitive, open sharing of ideas. They're a little bit like, they do look at you like you're a communist on some level. But I totally agree with those points. All right, I think you're okay.
One last question.
Yeah.
So, in your research, did you see at all people struggling with the balance between like chaos and overstimulation and drunkenness that's required to come up with good ideas and concentration that's required to actually execute on them?
Yeah, it is. It's like all this stuff. It is a balance, and it's it was interesting. There was a review of the book in the Wall Street Journal that was positive. It was maybe one of the slightly more critical ones, and it was kind of saying like, yeah, openness leads to new ideas, but what markets do really well is like actually take those ideas and ship them, like turn them into something that works, that's reliable, and all this kind of stuff. Whether you agree with that or not.
Well, it's interesting because the thing that people in our industry say to encourage everyone to share their ideas is like very good at like shit. It's your team and your execution, right? So, but that requires concentration.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, I think that it's a natural. It's a rhythm I have in my life. Like this book was the hardest book I there was a delightful kind of free-floating liquid network of ideas and associations that was fun to do. But then what really hit me was like, okay, what is chapter 1 going to be? You know, and so you have to figure out kind of the mechanisms that let those two things get balanced. And I think there are probably organizations that are far too much, in one direction or the other. But the question I have, and I don't really have a good answer to that, is like, is it best to divide that up across people? So you have this kind of creative person and then the person who gets the trains running on time? Hopefully not, and then how do you divide it up in terms of time and in terms of space? Like that's the interesting thing about the innovation center. Is like maybe the way to do it is like, look, you've got your desk where you get things done, but like, we also are sending a big signal in this organization that having less structured time where you're really improvising mentally is something that can happen, and that's why we built this system. And I think that's maybe a way to do it. So you feel like you're in different modes because you're physically in different environments.
Well, it sounds a little bit too like the long hunch gives you, it's almost a natural sort of like someone who's going to be working something for a long time before they come up with the ideas, like basically with an excellent team to work out, things to fruition. Because did you see a lot of cases where, like viewing moments and somebody else took that moment and what did you see in terms of
Right. Well, the thing you see a lot, which is pretty interesting, which is kind of related to this, is simultaneous discovery and invention, where somebody has this epiphany and 2 months later, across the world, unconnected data, somebody else has the same breakthrough. And that's related to just like platforms of understanding and science and technology get us to a certain point where it becomes thinkable to invent something or have some discovery. And then what often happens is a lot of people have that. Like you cannot invent a microwave oven in 1650. No matter how smart you are, right? What are you doing? But you get to a certain point, and then a bunch of people are going to invent a microwave oven. It's just going to happen.
So I don't want to get you
That's what you were saying. That was pretty much the end.
But Mark has one more
No, I don't.
thing to add.
I was trying to be the hook and say.
No, I think
Say thank you.
and I'm around.
And see who's around. If people have books they want signed.